And welcome back to the Livingston Parish News Weekly Show, a podcast brought to you by the Livingston Parish News. This is from the cheap seats, where I sit down with this gentleman and we talk about what's going on in Livingston Parish athletics. So I'm going to let him introduce himself here real quick. Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning. This is Rob DeArmond, sports editor with the Livingston Parish News.
And whoo boy, do we have a lot to talk about
Yup.
today. So we are going to move at a specific tilt. First and foremost, I always talk about it as we have the season crossover. Yeah, we're done with that season's sports. No, we're not. So we're going to start off with some winter sports. Not really a wrap just yet, just letting y'all know that both state powerlifting and bowling are coming up, correct?
Yeah, powerlifting will be starting, I believe, on Wednesday, and bowling it gets underway today. If I'm looking at this correctly, we've got the Denham Springs boys and girls in the bowling, and Albany's girls. If I'm looking at the bracket correctly, Albany and Denham could meet in the next round and face each other later this week.
Ooh, a little bit of intra-parish
could be interesting
rivalry on the bowling lane. So that'll be interesting to see. And then, of course, we are recording this on Monday, so that bowling would be starting today, March 20th, and then Wednesday, March 22nd would be powerlifting. Now, before that, All-Star basketball.
Yeah. Had 3 players from Livingston Parish playing in the All-Star games over the weekend. That was in Pineville at Louisiana Christian University. For the boys, Jake Forrest from Holden was on the E squad. He scored 9 points. The West wins that game 102-88. And for the girls, Walker had Caitlin Travis scored 6 points, and E Scott had 4. The West wins that game 88-63. Anytime you can get a chance to play in those All-Star games, it's always an honor. It's nominated by coaches, so they see what's going on, and the players get rewarded for their work during the season.
So congratulations to those student athletes. I have to remember to say that for getting to go out there and continue to compete. And as you said, get rewarded for their in-season performances. Now, before we continue with spring sports, we're going to jump all the way back to the fall. Denham Springs football made kind of a crazy sort of well into the off-season splash hire. And I'm going to let you take it from there.
It was one of those deals where this was Thursday, and you kind of, I think I'd posted something, get on Facebook, and I see this welcome new offensive coordinator Kyle Caskey to Denham Springs High. So I immediately texted Coach Beard, Brett Beard, and it was funny because he came right back. He goes, I was literally just texting you this information to get in touch with Coach Caskey. He's got some NFL coaching experience, coached with the Jaguars, Lions, and Bengals. And it's one of those things where, anytime you talk to Coach Beard, he's always looking to get good coaches into the fold, and not only, get them to the staff, but they kind of learn from each other. And I think that's the situation that they're in with Coach Caskey as well. They both kind of want to take the situation and both kind of learn from it. This past year, Coach Caskey had taken the year off, did some work with some other teams, high school teams, but this is his chance to kind of get back into it. He got to Baton Rouge. He was hired when Ed Ogeron was coach at LSU. So he was hired on the Coach Ogeron staff. He said his wife was expecting at the time. He got a job with Jacksonville Jaguars on the Urban Meyer staff, and they didn't want to leave. With her expecting, they didn't want to leave and go to Florida, maybe change doctors, things like that. So they wound up staying in Baton Rouge. So he's here. I asked him about, maybe some terminology and things like that. Does it get complicated? And that, he said, I don't want to get it to, overcomplicated. He said, we're not talking about having, he said, I'm not expecting a Joe Burrow or Jamar Chase to be out there. We're talking about high school kids. So we want to keep it as simple as possible and get them to learn these concepts. And, he's had a chance to kind of see what's going on, and at the same time, he's realizing that Denham lost a really big senior class, so they're not, but they want to get in. That he's supposed to meet with them this week and start installing what they want to do offensively there. So big hire for them.
Big hire, going to be interesting to see how a lot of that translates, of course, because you see these pro playbooks, and they change almost weekly, and they're, I'm holding my hands up. It looks like the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Right, exactly. He was basically, asked him kind of about that, and he's like, we want to do what we do well, not do a bunch of stuff just to do a bunch of stuff. We want to do what we do and do it well. So it sounds like just concentrating on certain aspects, getting those down, and then maybe expanding on what they want to do from there.
So good luck to the Yellow Jackets, and as we said, a kind of a crazy sort of in the middle of the off season splashy hire. So going to be interesting to see how they progress heading up to the spring games, which of course will be in May. Finally, we can talk about spring sports.
We're getting there.
So, one thing that we did discuss as we were kind of preparing for the show, it looks like the Live Oak ladies, after that tough loss to Walker last week, have come out screaming.
Yeah, definitely. Just this is just a tidbit here. Casey Bennett from Live Oak hit her 14th home run of the season over the weekend. That establishes a record in a season for home runs at Live Oak. In that same game, which was an 11-0 win over Acadiana, A.K. Phillips threw a no-hitter. So that just kind of gives you an idea of that they're back on track, I should say. And that's not taking anything away from that loss to Walker. Really good game, but you guys know, and talking to both of the coaches, those players know each other. They've grown up with each other. They played with and against each other on summer ball teams and things like that, and they're always competitive. It just seems like it kind of brings out the best in a parish rivalry, the things that you see, and if you've been around, you know exactly what I'm talking about when you go see it.
Oh yeah, fierce competition
for sure.
So let's hit it with sort of a little score roundup before we talk about a little bit of feel-good news down in Maurepas and to a certain extent Holden as well.
Yes. I don't know if we want to hit on the game that we went to Wednesday night. It was Albany French Settlement, two really good teams, another parish deal going on, and French Settlement takes a 2-0 lead in the first inning. Albany comes back, gets two to tie it up. And then they eventually went up winning it 3-2 in 8 innings. Emma Rogers gets a hit to knock in Briley Ford. Another great game where you're kind of sitting there. Albany had loaded the bases, I think, 3 times and was unable to score until that inning where they tied up. So you're getting that. It was a playoff feel to the game, and it's something that I think when I talk to both coaches is something that they want to play in those types of games to get them ready for what's ahead in the postseason. Because to be honest, they probably will both be there.
Sure.
When the brackets come out. So, but yeah, getting back to Maurepas, the lights are on.
Yeah, right.
And Holden as well. David went out a couple weeks ago when they cranked up the lights in Holden, and Maurepas did the same thing last Monday. Just one of those things where I was talking to Coach Gregoire, Anthony Gregoire, the baseball coach over at Maurepas. He said they wanted to kind of time it up. They both teams have played games under the lights, but they wanted to time it up to where it would kind of be, the girls playing on one field, boys playing on the other, and they were able to do that. It was a pretty cool deal because, Coach Gregoire has been there a long time, and I think we're coming up on, if I remember correctly, it's close to 2 years when they first said that they were going to bring lights, and he kept saying, "I'll believe it when I see it." And so it was kind of one of those deals where I think he and Joe Murphy kind of hit the switch and turned them on, and I was like, man, they're here, you're seeing it, they're all here, and it's turned into one of those deals where he was telling me, that the first practice under lights, his wife called him and she's like, "Hey, where are you?" And he's like, "Well, I'm at practice." And she's like, "No, you don't. You don't have lights." And he's like, "Yeah, we do now. We have them, So it's turned into one of those deals where, he said my wife's even got to get used to it. One of the main impetuses behind it is trying to get more people out to the park. You can start later. People can get off work and maybe come to the park, and like you said, you want to put a good product on the field, but the other part is you have to raise that money to keep that program going. So the hope is that that'll help increase the gates, and it's also, he said, it's kept the kids at the park longer. So they're being able to feed them, and before games the parents are coming in and making sure they're fed before games and things like that. It's just one of those deals. And, Coach Gabby Phelps, when I talked to her about getting the softball lights, they actually got to use theirs really early. I think they went to a 10-inning game very early on, so got to get under the lights and work in a game situation under that. But it was, one of those things where she said as soon as we got the okay to turn them on, it was like, okay, let's do it. Let's go. I guess play with the new toy.
Right. Let's see how this feels. So, well, thank you, sir.
Sure.
Appreciate all the updates. We had a lot of sort of non-action stories today, but I think you mentioned that the girls went 10 innings under their new lights. Correct?
I think, yeah, if I remember correctly, that was a couple weeks ago, and you don't really think about it, and then you go, oh wait, they got lights out there, they can do that now. So,
right.
But I think we said before we went on the air, he thought, talking to Coach Gregoire, the funny thing was, he goes, this was the first time we could get them both playing at the same time, and here we are, and at 4:35 o'clock, it's bright and clear, and so. We turned the lights on, but we really don't need them right now.
Right.
So, but they're there. They have them there. The option is there to play later. So.
And they do work.
Yes. Work well, too.
Oh, there you go. Well, go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
Hey, this is Rob DeArmond, sports editor with the Livingston Parish News.
And my name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. Appreciate you guys out there for joining us for the Livingston Parish News Weekly Show. Please remember the news is on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. We are once a week in print on Thursdays. That's $7 a month to get that in your mailbox. We're also online, www.livingstonparishnews.com. One last time, we appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you next time.